All right, before we start the lesson today, we are going to read Amazing Grace by Mary Hoffman, illustrated by Caroline Finch. At the end of each page, I will pass around the pictures. Sit down, please. Grace was a girl who loved stories. She didn't mind if they were read to her, or told to her, or made up in her own head. She didn't care if they were from books or movies or out of Nana's long memory. Grace just loved stories. And after she had heard them, and sometimes while they were still going on, Grace would act them out. And she always gave herself exciting. Grace went into battle as Joan of Arc and wove a wicked web as Asani the spider. She hid inside the wooden horse as the gates of Troy. She went exploring for lost kingdoms. She sailed the 7 seas with a peg leg and a parrot. She was Aladdin rubbing his magic lamp to make the genie appear, and Mowgli in the backyard jungle. Mowgli's from the Jungle Book. Most of all, Grace loved to act out adventure stories and fairy tales. When there was no one else around, Grace played all the parts herself. She set out to seek her fortune with no companion but her trusty cat, and found a city with streets paved in gold. Sometimes she could get Ma and Nana to join in when they weren't too busy. Then she was Dr. Grace, and their lives were in her hands. One day, Grace's teacher said they would do the play Peter Pan. Grace knew who she wanted to be. When she raised her hand, Raja said, "You can't be Peter. That's a boy's name." But Grace kept her hand up. "You can't be Peter Pan," whispered Natalie. "He isn't black." But Grace kept her hand up. "All right," said the teacher. "Lots of you want to be Peter Pan, so we'll have to have auditions next week to choose parts." She gave them words to learn. When Grace got home, she seemed sad. "What's the matter?" asked Ma. "Raj said I couldn't be Peter Pan because I'm a girl." "That shows what Raj knows," said Ma. "A girl can be Peter Pan if she wants to." Grace cheered up. Then later she remembered something else. "Natalie says I can't be Peter Pan because I'm black," she said. Ma looked angry, but before she could speak, Nana said, "It seems Natalie is another one who don't know nothing. You can be anything you want, Grace, if you put your mind to it." On Saturday, Nana told Grace that they were going out. In the afternoon, they caught a bus and a train into town. Nana took Grace to a grand theater. The sign outside read, "Rosalie Wilkins and Romeo and Juliet," in sparkling lights. "Are we going to the ballet, Nana?" asked Grace. "We are, honey, but first I want you to look at this picture." Grace looked up and saw a beautiful young ballerina in a tutu. Above the dancer, it said, "Stunning new Juliet." There's stunning new Juliet. "That one is little Rosalie from back home in Trinidad," said Nana. "Her granny and me. We grew up together on the island. She's always asking me, do I want tickets to see her Rosalie dance? So this time, I said yes. After the ballet, Grace played the part of Juliet, dancing around her room in her imaginary tutu. I can be anything I want, she thought. On Monday, the class met for auditions to choose who was best for each part. When it was Grace's turn to be Peter, she knew exactly what to do and all the words to say. She had been Peter Pan all weekend. She took a deep breath and imagined herself flying. When it was time to vote, the class chose Raj to be Captain Hook and Natalie to be Wendy. There was no doubt who would be Peter Pan. Everyone voted for Grace. You were fantastic, whispered Natalie. The play was a big success, and Grace was an amazing Peter Pan. After it was all over, she said, I feel as if I could fly all the way home. You probably could, said Mom. Yes, said Nana. If Grace put her mind to it, she can do anything she wants. That's the end of the story, but I want to read you about a celebration of Amazing Grace. Amazing Grace is one of my favorite children's books of all time. Whenever I'm asked for a recommendation for an exceptional picture book, Grace is always at the top of my list. In Grace's struggle for acceptance of who she is, I see myself, a person fiercely determined to obliterate the bonds of lack and limitation that continue to afflict citizens of color in this world. Growing up in the midst of the civil rights movement in America, I, like Grace, benefited from the wise counsel and costly sacrifices made by those who came before me. My mother, the first in our family to graduate from college, consistently reminded me that as I grew up, I would inherit a world that would oftentimes be hostile to my presence, simply because the color of my skin. Her untold sacrifices and those of her generation were calculated to provide opportunities and advantages that they themselves never enjoyed. And this paved the way for me and my generation to achieve a semblance of equality in a society founded on the legacy of slavery and institutional racism. It is not insignificant to note that the kind of universal wisdom that can only be forged in the fires of oppression, followed by forgiveness, are on full display in Mary Hartman's depiction of Grace's journey. In her portrait of this child, delivered from the Afro-Caribbean diaspora to the melting pot of New York City or London, Mary elegantly and eloquently communicates the pain of prejudice as well as the soaring triumph of the human spirit, spurred by the enduring belief that all humans are created equal. Alex Haley, the author of Roots, used to say, find the good and praise it. In recommending Amazing Grace to audiences of today, I am content in the knowledge that his call to action is alive. So what I want you to do now on your piece of paper is I want you to write about a time when somebody told you you couldn't do something. Or maybe it was you that didn't believe that you could do something and you were able to overcome it. Okay, so we're going to take about 10 minutes to go ahead and do this.